Dominique Gunderson, you are a home flipper, remote from, so not living in New Orleans, but flip houses, as well as a real estate investor. I'm super excited to pick your brain today.
It was a good intro. I appreciate it. I think you got it.
Perfect. So I want to start off. So I think I've heard you say you started straight out of high school. Is that right?
Correct. Yep.
Tell me about that. How does a high school kid say, I'm going to start, jump into real estate? What did that look like?
Yeah. So when I was in high school, I started getting interested in real estate. My family's not in real estate, so I'd never even heard of the concept of buying a house. My parents didn't own real estate. But when I was about 16, my mom was finally able to start looking for her first house to buy. So that was my first intro of just what does it mean to buy a house and look at property. And it was about 2012 in the market. Everything had kind of crashed. There was a bunch of short sales and foreclosures for sale, which is what she ended up buying. It was a short sale property. It was kind of a fixer-upper. And I just got super interested in the entire process, figuring out about, just being able to renovate something, kind of force that appreciation really quickly and just seeing the potential in doing something like that. Didn't really have a ton of interest in going to college or anything too, so it just sparked my interest. I dove deep down the rabbit hole into everything investing in real estate, and as soon as I graduated, I was like, I'm gonna jump into this. So got my real estate license, just kind of started the more traditional path and just learning sales and being an agent and all of that, which ultimately kind of jump-started me into the investing stuff.
That's awesome. So you said 2012. Looking back, right, obviously we look back and man, what a great time to invest. But I'm sure it didn't feel that way in the moment, right? You're coming right out of the Great Recession. Prices are falling, probably still at that point, I would guess. Talk to us about that, about getting started when there's just a ton of fear in the market.
Yeah, man, I wish I could tell you more. I was still in high school, so I wasn't really doing it then. I was just kind of watching it from the sidelines. But I know what you mean, because I grew up in Los Angeles area, California, and so that's where my mom was shopping for a house. And it sounds so crazy now, if you see the market, but things were $400,000, $500,000, $600,000. And every single one of those properties now is $1-2 million, whatever it is, and so it's all relative though, like you're saying. At the time, for my mom especially, she's man, I could finally afford to buy something, I can finally just squeeze in a fixer-upper. And then you look at it now and you're like, how does anybody afford that, So it is relative, and I feel like people experience that even today, in this market. You look at stuff you made a flip or sold 5 years ago, and you're like, man, held that.
Yeah, that's actually a good segue. How do you determine? I know you have a portfolio of single family homes. How do you determine which ones you're going to flip, which one you keep? Do you have any kind of formula for that?
Yeah. So I typically renovate everything I buy. So I buy mainly single families or small multis, and renovate them like I'm going to flip them. And then for me, honestly, if they pencil as a rental to where I can cash out, pull my money back out of the property, have nothing or almost nothing left in it, and then still cash flow at least a couple $100 a door, I typically will keep it. I'm trying to kind of hold on to as much as I can. But if it doesn't pencil like that, rents aren't high enough compared to the price point and all that, then it still makes sense as a flip. I'll flip it.
Nice. Is there do you like to one for one, or keep X amount for the number you flip, or is it just purely case by case basis?
Just case by case. Literally, if they pencil, I'll typically keep them. But yeah, I've usually only been able to keep anywhere from 2 to 5 per year has kind of been the average of how many it seems like I'm getting that pencil. And I've only started holding maybe 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. Before that, I was just flipping everything. So.
Nice, fantastic. So you started in California. You're a real estate agent. Got started in real estate. my question is, why NOLA? Like, what made you look at a map and say, I live in California, I'm going to invest in New Orleans? What made you pick here?
Yeah, so I got my start. I worked for about 3 or 4 years out of high school. Got a license, was kind of dabbling in that game. Then I did wholesaling for a couple years, did about 40 wholesale deals in California, and just really got the reps going, got the transaction volume, felt like I knew how to underwrite deals. I picked my buyers' brains a ton, and I would walk the job sites with them, the stuff I was selling, and just felt like I was ready to jump in and do my own deals. But I was 21 at the time, and LA was still $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 houses. So it just felt a little daunting, and I didn't want to jump into such a big risk at such a young age and do one deal. If it goes wrong, and I'm just out of the game right away. So I was looking for something that was a little bit lower barrier to entry, easier to kind of get started, price point wise, and competitive. I mean, LA was so competitive. Everybody was flipping houses, So my family, my dad and his family all live out here in Harvey on the West Bank, and so I was like, let me check Louisiana.
Nice.
This is the one market I feel like I have a real good connection to, at least know somebody in this area and kind of learn about the area. My dad wasn't in real estate, but just literally someone on the ground to show me around, someone to say, hey, have you ever called a plumber out to your house, or do you have any friends that are real estate agents, whatever it is, just to get my foot in the door in terms of building a team, because I knew that was going to probably be the biggest challenge.
Yeah.
So I was looking for somewhere that was affordable and somewhere I had some small competitive advantage to start meeting people.
That's good. I like that you talked about building a team, and I definitely want to pick your brain on that. But I also like how you talked about kind of that escalation. A lot of people starting out think, I'm just going to jump in and buy a bunch of real estate, right? When in reality, a lot of times that progression looks like I'm an agent, learning, getting the reps in, wholesaling, getting a little bit closer, and then eventually buying. But it's not listen to an episode of Bigger Pockets and now I'm buying real estate, right? And it sounds like it was a good couple of years before you actually started holding these for yourself. So I like hearing those stories. I think people who look at someone who is successful and think, oh man, overnight success, you listen to one episode of this podcast and now, you started buying real estate. So it's good to see that, hey, there is a progression. It doesn't happen overnight. It's baby steps and working towards that bigger goal. But you mentioned the team, so I want to pick your brain on that. I feel like it's hard enough to manage renovations here when I can meet the guys and look at them in the face and tell them all the things they're doing wrong. How in the world do you do that from so far away? What are your systems, processes, tools, tips? I'm curious, how do you do that?
Yeah, it's all about the team for sure, and I'll be super honest, I wish I could tell you a handful of apps to download and systems to use and all this stuff, but I'm pretty simple, I'm pretty basic. I don't use a ton of crazy technology or systems to run things, and maybe I should, but it's literally just my team on the ground is definitely the backbone of the operation, and it didn't happen overnight, like you were just saying. It's been 6 years now in the making of flipping out here, and a lot of different people have cycled through. You keep the good ones and kind of move on when people make too big of mistakes to come back from. But yeah, kind of an overview of what that looks like is I have about 3 crews right now that are pretty much full-time with me all the time. So each of those is headed up by a GC. I don't try to manage the subs and all the trades from that far away. So that's a big part of it is, you're gonna pay a premium and you gotta work with someone who's really good at that aspect of it. But that's a huge one of just working with, I deal with 3 people and they all have, on the job sites, there's probably 30 people between everybody, but I deal with 3. And so having that to just minimize my communication and what I have to manage on the day-to-day and just talking to one person is huge. I usually have 1 or 2 people that are in the project manager role, so that's kind of sort of like an on-the-ground executive assistant, if you will. It's doing any sort of day-to-day tasks that might be putting up lock boxes or signs or taking videos or photos of properties or checking in on the construction and sending me updates, whatever it is. It's all that kind of day-to-day stuff. And then, there's a lot of like local title companies, lenders, agents, all this wholesalers, all these other people that kind of come into it. But the project management, construction aspect it becomes a lot more manageable when you have a couple key people that are very trusted, very loyal, and like I can just deal with them directly.
That's good stuff. And it sounds like you do a good job of delegating. Like you don't try to do everything yourself. And like you said, you have the GC, you're willing to pay a little bit extra for him to make money so that things can run smooth. And I almost wonder if it's the perceived downside of long-term real estate investing is a benefit in that it forces you to delegate, to do certain things that if you were here, you're like, maybe I'll just go check in on it, or maybe I'll try and just find a crew to do this paint or whatever. Like, have you noticed that, like that it kind of forces you to do things that maybe you otherwise may not have?
Oh yeah, it's like my favorite thing about investing out of state. And honestly, even if I was here, I think I would be able to take the skills that I've learned from that mindset of you have to delegate everything so you're not here and still apply that. Like it's so important for you to be able to grow and scale and to spend your time doing what pays the most, those top tasks that you're best at and are going to give you the biggest return on your time, and not do everything else. And like, man, even when I was just starting out and I only had, 1 or 2 projects running, when I'd come out here and check on things, like I would still do that. I would be like, oh man, the landscaping's not done. We're about to list this thing. I guess I should go to Home Depot and plant the plants, and all that. And it's like, why didn't I just pay someone $100 to do that? Is my 3 hours, 4 hours worth $100? That's kind of what you're saying, So taking those lessons, especially from early on, and even when I do come here, like almost all of my time is spent with people. If I'm on the job site, it really doesn't matter. I'm not here 90% of the time. So the 10% of the time that I'm here, like checking in and managing stuff, it's good. It's good for me to know and like have a presence and an insight on what's going on. But the reality is me physically being there doesn't change the productivity of the job. It's more about the people. It's about spending time with your team, letting them know that you're going to be here and check in and they need to take you seriously, but also like the relationship building, like going out to coffee, lunches with people, setting meetings and having that face-to-face time with people who bring you deals, your crews, like making it more than just a business, but actually like friendships with people you're doing business with.
Yeah, that's good. It really is such a people business. And I don't know, did you catch at the REI summit, Jay Papazan's The One Thing talk? Did you happen to catch that one? He talked about, he's like, a lot of people have a to-do list. He talked about having a not to-do list. He's like, take all the things that you don't want to do, hate doing, shouldn't be doing. He's like, put it all together and here you go, here's your job listing, right? And I thought it was a really cool concept to force exactly what you're talking about, the things that, is this the best use of my time?
Yeah, totally agree.
That's awesome. You talked about contractors. What do you look for in a contractor? Or feel free to answer the exact opposite. What are some red flags that you tend to look for to avoid in, let's say, a GC, contractor, crew, anything like that?
Yeah, I think the biggest one is communication. The ones for the most part, I guess there's 2 things, communication and pricing, I would say. Like stable pricing, because those have been probably the biggest reasons that I've gotten rid of people is total lack of communication, very hard to get on the phone, very hard to like feel like we actually have a connection, a relationship, kind of like I was talking about. The ones that have stuck around a long time, like I literally talk to them 3 to 5 times a day. Like it's just constant, nonstop. Those are my go-to people, that's making everything happen. So that's a big one, but pricing too. I've found a lot of times it's easy someone will price very competitively to get in with you, especially like when I have a lot of volume, and then 2 to 3 jobs down the line, it spikes up a lot and people get very complacent. So that's been another one, is like, and that's what I've also enjoyed about working with multiple different crews all the time, is you can kind of keep people in check a little bit, and quickly stop giving people jobs if they're pricing way too high and start overloading your other crews a little bit. So for a while I was really overloading like one specific crew and just kind of trying to keep loyalty, but I've actually found that that's probably been one of the worst decisions. And I would get so out of touch with what realistic pricing should be when you're just working with one person all the time. So having that diversity has been big too.
Yeah, that's really good. Almost, sounds like you're using supply and demand in your favor in terms of the subs, right? And you never know, it's good to have those backups if, God forbid, something happens, somebody's injured, or just decides they want to retire. Good to have those fallbacks. That's a really good tip. So let's say, I want to pick your brain on something a little bit different. Let's say, hypothetically, New Orleans is closed for business tomorrow, right? There's a big brick wall that like nobody else is buying anything here. What would be your framework for picking a new market? What would you look for? Like, how would you go about that decision? What are the key demographics or industries? And then follow up, are there any markets in mind, either that you invest in or that you've kind of maybe had your eye on?
Yeah, I think I analyze this a lot differently than a lot of people, and maybe it's just a shallow way of looking at it, but I've had so much success, and I feel like I've had success for this reason of really focusing on that team building aspect that I talked about, of picking a place that you feel like you have some sort of competitive advantage in that area, because everything else, can just come into place. There's deals everywhere, there's marketing channels everywhere, there's money to be found and letters to connect with everywhere, but your team that's working on stuff every day, especially if you're not going to be there, it's everywhere, but how are you going to get connected to those people and quickly? So I would look at a place that each individual person is going to have a different answer, but that I felt like I had the best competitive advantage in the sense of meeting people. Not even people in the industry, just any people that can show me around, that can introduce me to friends, one relationship can lead to the next, that I can get plugged into the community a little bit quicker. That would be my number one search criteria, and like slightly behind it, but still a pretty big one, would just be a sizable city. Of any size, where there's Walmarts and Targets and stuff like that. I think you can definitely do stuff in like smaller towns, but it's just harder. There's just a lot less deal flow, and it would be easier to focus on a place where you could find kind of all your acquisition volume in one place instead of having to drive like an hour or 2 hour radius. But yeah, those would be like the top 2 things I look at before anything else, besides, not even like data as far as like how many people are moving there or what's the economy doing and stuff like that. I just think there's real estate deals to be done everywhere. It's just, where do you have the best competitive advantage?
That's a really good perspective, and I agree, very, very different. I think if you asked 10 people that question, 8 are gonna say something about population growth, and they're probably gonna say, I want at least 2, major, market industry growth job drivers and all that stuff. So I really like that. I really appreciate the different perspective on like, hey, where do you find the unique advantage in people? That's awesome. What's your buy box today? Like, if somebody's bringing you a deal, what are you looking for? What does a deal look like to you?
Yeah, pretty simple. Just single family with resale values under 500K. That's kind of what I'm looking for in the greater New Orleans area. I do most of my volume in Jefferson Parish, but some in Orleans and some of the outskirts cities. So just kind of the more entry level single family stuff that needs work.
Yeah. Has that changed at all the last 2 years?
A little bit, and it's kind of shifted like back and forth. When I first started buying, it was kind of out of necessity, but I was buying super entry-level stuff. So like the first house I ever bought was like $50,000. I think the next one was like $20,000. So I was buying super, super cheap entry-level stuff, $200K and under on the resale value only. And I did that for probably like 3 years. Never bought a house that sold for higher than $200,000.
Wow.
And I was just trying to get into that. Where are the most buyers, like the biggest buyer pool, the most affordable, nice houses that I could possibly put on the market, and just felt like I'd have the best chance for selling them. And it did work, and it still does work. It's obviously still a very competitive segment of the market, but around 2023, when the market kind of started dropping, and when the rates first started rising and insurance really first started rising, it just became kind of hard to sell in that price point, because those were the buyers that were getting hit the hardest. Those were the ones where you'd get a week before the closing and they'd just tell you, I'm not coming. No reason, no, like, we're already through appraisal, inspections, everything, and
Wow.
They just couldn't get to the closing table, couldn't afford it, freaked out because it's hurricane season or whatever, and like some crazy big repair might come up, and they honestly couldn't afford it. So that segment of the market started getting kind of tough to sell, not because people weren't looking, but just they weren't performing. So I started switching a little bit in 2023 to buying up to like 500K houses to kind of get the next tier up of buyers that were just a little bit more qualified. So still, again, buying in all of those different categories. But now I feel like it's almost starting to shift back a little bit to where people are like, I think instead of buying a really, really nice, beautiful $450,000 home, I'd take a $350,000 or $300,000 home that's, needs a little bit of work. It's more of a cosmetic fixer, or a little smaller, like just anything to kind of save on budget. So we're starting to see a little bit of a shift again, I feel like.
I'd say that's a really powerful mindset. The idea of it's not, flipping doesn't work anymore, right? Throw your hands up, okay, let's pack it in, I'm going to Bitcoin, but how do I make this work? And that pivot from entry-level houses to maybe that next step up, I think is really important, because I think a lot of people have just left, right? Insurance is up, interest rates are up. It's very, very tough to be in real estate in any capacity right now, and I think a lot of people have left because, I guess a lot of reasons, but I think that's a really powerful mindset, right? Of, hey, it doesn't work, it's how can I make it work? What can I change in my strategy, my buy box, my vision to make it work? So I really appreciate you hearing you say that. It's good. I'm curious, what advice would you give to, I call it the blue belt, I think I got from Courtney. So not somebody who just started brand new, but the person who's been in maybe a couple years, 2 or 3 deals under their belt. What advice would you give to that person? Intermediate, but not brand new.
Any specific type of advice you're looking for, like what to buy or mindset, or?
Not necessarily. Any, I guess, whatever you feel like would be most impactful.
I think probably the biggest thing is to just recognize, I guess, where we're at in the market. Especially over the last couple years and like through 2021, 2022, when like real estate was so easy and everybody was doing it. I feel like it started getting really pushed, even just like on social media, different podcasts and like TV shows, and everybody was doing real estate, and it was really easy. I mean, I think back to a lot of the deals I was doing back then, and honestly, I could do everything wrong pretty much and still make money flipping a house, whereas now I feel like I could do every little thing right and lose money flipping a house. So it's just so different as far as like the skill set that's needed to really be successful. So I think keeping that in mind as like a frame of reference is important, because I know a lot of people personally that are experienced investors and have kind of gotten kicked out of the game, like you were saying, in the last couple of years, and it's tough to be in that boat, but it's extra tough when you feel like it's just you, or like you're doing something wrong, or man, I'm only a couple deals in, so like this must be my fault, or I failed. But it's hard right now. Like it's not easy to flip. It's not easy to make money. It's actually pretty easy for everything to go wrong.
Yeah.
So I don't know, just keeping that perspective in mind, I think, like not as just a cop-out, like, oh, this is too hard right now or anything, but I mean, I'm feeling it too, like I have deals that are losing money. I have deals that should have made a crazy amount that are just a base hit now, and deals that are making a crazy amount. I mean, all across the board, like it's kind of really crazy hit or miss. So yeah, just keeping that mindset perspective of might not be you, might not be your fault, or it's a total failure or time to get out of the game. But like it is hard right now, it really is. But to keep pushing forward, because just like the market being down right now, we came off of a high, it's going to go eventually back to that high, and this is the time to buy, if anything, before it gets back to that high.
Yeah. And what would you say, you mentioned mindset. In addition to that, are there any trends, patterns, themes, mindset, skills, anything that stands out to you of the people that you've seen who've been able to kind of weather the storm and hopefully we're all coming on the other side, but come out on the other side versus those that, maybe weren't able to or quit, gave up? Does anything stand out as far as commonalities?
Yeah, a couple of things. I think one is not biting off more than you can chew. If you are just starting out right now, I don't think you should buy 10 flips at once. It's just not a good time to do that. Seen a couple people do that, like scale way too fast in kind of a tough market, thinking that it would be easy, like it was the last couple of years, and even if I make a few mistakes, it'll all still work out, and it just totally doesn't. So that would probably be the biggest one, is like scale slow, like unless you feel like you've got really good reserves and experience under your belt, or a great partner or something, like, with some more experience, that can go south really fast. The other thing would be, if you are kind of at that next level where you feel like you can do more volume, I think volume really helps you in this market. I know it has for me, because the few deals that I've had that haven't gone so well, or lost money, every single one right now has another deal that can kind of go with it, that's like made double what that one's lost. So weighing that out, if I can think, if I only had like one or two going and one or two turned out bad, then it just knocks you out, versus kind of putting your eggs in multiple baskets, spreading it out across a bunch of different properties. Not every one has to be a home run for you to still really thrive.
Yeah, that's good. And it goes to your point of one of the advantages of being down here, right, is you can spread that cash out, and versus California, New York, somewhere, hey, you can only do one flip at a time because you only have so much capital available. That's really good. What do you see? I'm going to ask you to break out your crystal ball here. What do you see ahead next 12, 18 months? What do you think's coming? In terms of, I guess, I'll leave it somewhat open-ended, but like market, general real estate kind of outlook.
Yeah, I think it's been interesting seeing a lot of the rest of the country, places that have historically, even as New Orleans, New Orleans has kind of been in a slow market for like 2 years now, where it's been really low transaction volume, prices decreasing. A lot of places, the rest of the country, have still been growing 10% a year, for valuations, and still have no inventory. And almost all of those places are now hitting in kind of where we've been. Like everybody's sitting on the market, everybody's price dropping and all of that. So I think it's interesting to see kind of this being a national thing right now. I'm not sure that it's going anywhere like super soon. I don't know that rates are going to drop real fast, real low. I think they may come down, and some things may start to soften that helps us a little bit. But I don't know. I feel like we're still going to be in this kind of boat for a little while. Some of the other markets, like I say, are just kind of catching up, so I feel like they're like just sort of entering the swing. I don't know that they're gonna come out of it super fast. We may actually in New Orleans be a little bit ahead of that, of kind of like sort of hitting, I don't wanna say rock bottom, but like kind of hitting the bottom a little bit. We've been dropping, whereas some other markets are just kind of starting to. But I'm still I'm being really careful, with everything I buy. I am projecting my resale values at the low end of the comps. Like if things are selling for 300 to 325, I'm listing for 280, and that's what I'm underwriting it at up front.
Yeah.
So I'm being super conservative with everything, like not at all expecting us to really change much, in the next 6 months. I'm still underwriting like we're gonna be in this for a while.
Yeah, that's a good little sub tip where you talked about, underwriting at that 280. I feel like it is not a market to be greedy. Like that's in the past, right? You missed, if you wanted to be greedy, that was 2020, 2021. This is not a market to be greedy. And I agree in other markets. I was talking to another agent in a different state yesterday asking about the market, and she was like, oh man, it's, we're starting to get close to 60 days on market, as if it was like, I'm like, wow, that would be great, man. I'd love to see, only 60 days on market. But yeah, I agree, and I hope you're right that we'll kind of hopefully catch the rebound side of it before everybody else. Last question before I see if there's any questions from the crowd. What do you need? What can people do to help you other than looking for deals? Is there anything you're looking for, a specific contractor, vendor type of deal? How can somebody in this room bring value to you?
It's a great question. Yeah, my team is always open and growing. So like anything that has to do with renovations, buying, selling real estate, like anything that has to do with flipping or owning rentals, like I'm all ears. I think you touched on a little bit of kind of having multiples of different vendors, not getting stuck in the trap of just working with one person all the time and kind of being blind to the rest of the market. So I try to keep that mindset, like I'm always looking to network with multiples of everything, So even if I have a few crews that are pretty busy right now, like you said, you never know when something's gonna happen, to have backup lists. So yeah, anything that has to do with buying and selling real estate or holding rentals, I'm all ears.
Fantastic. Y'all give it up for Dominique.